Good morning and welcome to the daily chapter reading of Some of It Was Real, a book review by renowned author Nana Fisher. Chapter 3, Thomas. I've been to Sylvie's shows before, but never this close to the stage. My orchestra seat, third row center, cost $500 through Tix-Mix, and the other seat I bought for a friend was $250. I blew what was left of my budget on a cheap flight to Oregon for the next show just in case. Right now, it's impossible to take my eyes off Sylvie. She's tall, about 5'8" and lithe. Deep red lipstick stains full lips, long lashes fringe light gray eyes. A single spotlight bathes her skin, reflects back in a golden dazzle. She's made for this. Around me, believers' shiny faces tilt like thirsty flowers lean forward. Their collective energy could light a city. I'm one of a multitude whose prayers silently float into the rafters of this theater. As Sylvie talks to us, her giant black dog, reminiscent of Cerberus, a fleece bone clenched in his maw, stares into the audience, daring us to misbehave so he can have a snack. The psychics I've seen all begin with an origin story, just like Sylvie did, then usually launch into a rapid-fire barrage of letters, numbers, messages, and images that force the audience to scramble, search for connections. This is where Sylvie differs. When she talks to her audience, she chooses her words carefully, and when she's stumped, she admits it, apologizes, and moves on. Although she's much more creative, humming or singing, contacting the dead by accessing a red door, and going into a trance-like state where she writes on her skin. Sounds scattershot, but Sylvie is extremely believable. That's why we're all here. One last thing, Sylvie says. It's important you understand that I don't have a clear definition for what I do. Psychics use their intuition or spiritual guides to gain information about the past, present, or future. Mediums are channels that deliver messages from those who have passed over. I've been called a psychic medium, and that's as good a definition as any. But the truth is that I'm not sure why I hear voices, see images, sing at times, or scribble notes. It just happens, and I can't tell you how because I truly don't understand it. Sylvie takes a wobbly breath, and the urge to reach out, give her hand a squeeze, tell her that I know she'll try her hardest, always surprises me. That same concern is reflected on the faces of countless audience members. We are about to embark on a journey, she says. I hope that whatever happens helps someone. But there's a saying I've always lived by, though I can't recall where I first heard it. The truth has two edges. Make sure you're prepared for the answers you see, okay? Around me, people smile back and say, okay. I surprise myself by saying it too. Turning to the left side of the stage, Sylvie begins, far left, 5 rows back. She moves forward, so graceful she almost floats. There's a motherly energy. She didn't want to die in the hospital. Does that mean something to anyone in this row? Please take your time. I understand that many of you want to make a connection, but it's really important to listen to the details so that you don't mistake someone else's message. My stomach does a flip as my friend Daryl stands up, runs a hand through sparse gray hair. Finally. One of the assistants in the audience races over with a microphone. Daryl says, "My mom died a few months ago." Sylvie repeatedly taps her lips. The ring on her index finger sparkles. Do you collect something? Maybe pennies? No, they're squares? Stamps. I've collected them since I was a kid. She walks to the edge of the stage, right across from Daryl, the dog glued to her side. Your mother says she didn't want you to sell them. Daryl shakes his head like he can't believe what he's hearing. I used the money to pay for a home nurse, but I ran out anyway, had had to put Ma in a state hospital and to still work doubles to pay the doctor's bill. Daryl's voice catches. I was at work when she passed. A crease appears between Sylvie's brows. There's a really young energy coming forward. Do you have a sister? She died when you were little. She's signing the letter D, then holding up four fingers. Daryl flinches. No, I'm an only child. Sylvie whisks a marker out of her pocket and scribbles on her palm. She holds up her hand and reads it like she's learning what it says with the audience. D wants you to STOP. Does that mean anything to you? Nope. Sorry, sometimes I get wires crossed. Just know that your mother isn't angry. She says you were a really good son. The sound of stringed instruments accompanies Sylvie as she traverses the stage, pauses, tips her head back. The music fades. First row balcony. Do the initials H and F mean anything? A middle-aged woman in a striped wrapped dress that struggles to contain her ample cleavage stands. She's past a microphone. You're talking about my grandfather, Harold Farewell? He's showing me strong hands. They're stained black. That's him. Always had oil on his hands. He restored old cars. There's one he wanted you to have. It was a dark color? Blue, yes, an old MG midget, but I sold it. He loved that car so much, and I still feel guilty about it. It wasn't about the car. It was about giving you something to make a difference in your life. It did. I used the money to help pay for business school. Got a great job. For over an hour, Sylvie works the stage. She shares messages from estranged siblings, a father lost at sea, a twin who died in a car crash that left his brother paralyzed, a son killed in a ski accident, and a great aunt who wants her god nieces to quit their battle over a sculpture, sell it, and split the proceeds. Then she calls on a woman with bobbed red hair seated mid-orchestra. A brother figure is stepping forward. He's pointing to his heart. That's so flippin' wild, the woman says. My friend, the one who gave me her ticket 'cause she got food poisoning, had a brother who died from a heart attack. Please tell your friend her brother is a force, even in the after. He wants her to know that he's thankful she's taking care of his daughter. Sylvie hesitates, begins to hum, then pulls a marker from her pocket and scribbles along the inside of her forearm. When whatever spell she's under breaks, she blinks a few times, then reads the words scrawled on her skin like she's never seen them before. Cal, just because they were yours doesn't mean it was your fault. The redhead gasps. But you told me it would happen. Sylvie tips her head perplexed. I did? Last fall I came to your show at the Wild Horse Casino in Washington. You asked if the date November 13th meant something to me. It didn't then. You said it would. You were so sure. Have to admit I left certain you were a sham. I'm sure you weren't the only one, Sylvie notes with wry smile. The woman shakes her head. The naysayers are dead wrong. 3 weeks later, on November 13th, my sister took her life. The audience buzzes. Sylvie crouched beside Moose's slender arm wrapped around those massive canine shoulders like she needs support. Is your name Cal? Kelly. I'm so very sorry for your loss, Kelly. I knew she was depressed. The pain pills were from my back surgery years ago. Doc prescribed 60 of them. I only took 2, should have flushed the rest. She would have found another way. She wants you to know that. The song you were humming, me and my sis, we used to sing it in rounds. What song? An old English tune called Rose Red. Kelly softly sings. Rose, 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 will I ever see thee wed? I will marry at thy will, sire, at thy will. Ding dong, wedding bells on an April morn. Carve your initials on a moss-covered stone, on a moss-covered stone. Ah, poor bird, take thy flight, fly above the sorrows of this sad night. Rose, that was my sis's name, Kelly says. She was 19. She'll never marry or have children or get to watch mine grow. I miss her so much. Sylvie's eyes shine. It's okay to miss the people you loved, but they're at peace and want you to be at peace too. My cell phone vibrates and I glance at the screen. The texts are from Daryl. Rose's suicide date? WTF? And I had a sister who died when she was 4 years old. Her name was Dawn. She was deaf. I tuck the phone away as Sylvie walks over to the leather chairs in the middle of the stage set on either side of a small table and sits. Moose settles beside her and she rests one hand on his broad back, looks into the audience like she really sees us and says, "If you leave here today with nothing else, know this. If someone you loved met a violent end or suffered an illness before passing, that wasn't their life. It was all the years before then, every joy, celebration, adventure, and love. Death is only a moment." Around me, shoulders relax, fists unclench. Some people smile while others wipe away tears. We've reached the grand finale, where one person gets called to the stage for an in-depth read. Sylvie will ask for a personal object to help her. Almost everyone in the audience has brought something. I have a ring in the pocket of my jeans. There's a collective intake of breath. On the exhale, prayers are murmured. Sylvie scans the audience, then slowly lifts her arm and initially points up toward the balcony, hesitates, then lowers her arm and points at me.